Columbia after Wagner. So I coached at Columbia, coached at Wagner. I'm sorry, coached at Wagner, coached at Columbia. So I would have done it then and then. Yeah, but still, like, you'd go to, like, I knew people and stuff, so it's been a while. Yeah, I know it's pricey. But the ferry's pretty cheap. Still take the ferry. You got to pay one way. I think they pay to you pay to leave or pay to get in. It's free to leave, but you got to pay to get in on the ferry. How is everybody doing today? Fantastic. Ready for a little football. Excited to be back at home again. I mean, the great thing down this stretch, or kind of now you hit the home stretch, right? I mean, this is kind of the third chapter of the season, if you will. You kind of had those early games broken up. We had the 3-game stretch in the middle, and this is that third chapter, and hopefully we get a fourth, which is whatever happens postseason play for us. So, but in this chapter, you get 3 out of the 5 games at home, which is going to be pretty exciting. Get into the confines of the stadium, get that home field support, home field advantage. A lot of people to show up, so to cheer us on. I know our last home game, right? We kept it entertaining. It was against Air Force, but you got into the fourth quarter of that game. We're making a comeback. I mean, the place was rocking. It was loud, and that's the type of home field advantage we need from Rebel fans and everybody in Vegas to come out and support us and create a great home field advantage. Playing an excellent team, New Mexico. You look at them. They have first-year coach, but he's a winner. He's won where he's been. They continue to win. Very physical football team, some great running backs. Quarterback is able to make plays with his legs, but also with the great running game they have. Make throws with his arms. They'll play, they have another quarterback that's going to come in to create issues for you with a running quarterback. So a lot of different personnel groups, a lot of different formations, a lot of different things going on with their offense to be able to score points. And then you watch them; they are an excellent defensive football team. They have the ability to cause you problems. They're very sound, big, and they're physical, really good linebackers. I mean, you look. When you sit and say, yeah, boy, their middle linebacker is like a coach on the field. Well, I mean, kind of is. He's a coach's son, sitting right there in the middle, getting it all directed, all lined up, everybody where they need to be. And they're able to get you behind the chains, and then they very dynamic pass rushers can come on the field to cause problems. So you look, they're battle-tested team. They've been in a bunch of close games, found a way to win, played some really good teams and found a way to win. So it'll be a great challenge. Should be a great game and an exciting game on Saturday afternoon. Bueller. Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah, so you mentioned UNM there coming off a great win against Utah State. I guess I have a 2-part question. Number one, some have said this team is kind of like an FCS all-star team that Coach Eck has put together, and they're playing really well. Do they kind of offer any specific challenges outside of what you already said? And my second question is, you've both played UCLA. Is there anything that you can get out of those games and tape against a similar opponent? Yeah,
you watch and we study it, of that way. But you look at the team, very similar to us, right? They did not have a ton of returning starters. I think one of the benefit, he brought some guys with him, so some of their leaders know the system, right, if you will. They know what they're doing offensively, defensively. They kind of have a background into even the routine of being there. But they've brought in a lot of good football players. That part of it, when you look at, you have the different crossover games that you see, whether it be in the league. At this point of the league, of the year, there's enough that you're getting to see who they are, who we are a little bit as a team, and so as you look at that, like I said, the problems that they cause, all the different variations of offense that they're going to throw at you with some really good football players and an ability to control tempo, right? If you can run the ball, you control the tempo of the game. And then, they're one of the better defenses in the league. They're a pretty stout group on defense, especially statistically, they're even better.
Coach, 5 games in 5 weeks. Just talk about how this momentum will help you, the consistency you want to see defensively.
Yeah, that's a change, isn't it, right? Like, didn't I see your show the other day? Like, holy cow, there's no game this week again, right? So I think it is. I think it'll be good for us to get into a really good rhythm over the next 5 weeks. And for us, having the bye week, look at some things we've done well and poorly, making sure we're making corrections. Everyone's a unique challenge. That's, you look and on both sides of the ball, and it is different, the variety of the league. The last team were up in Boise against a very good explosive offensive team, very big physical running team. Before that, you're playing the triple option. This team playing multiple quarterbacks. Coming at you with different athletes, a lot of different, and then, they'll snap it to the running backs, people, all kinds of different people taking snaps is a kind of a different style of offense. So, one of the things, and I hope we're that way too. I hope our offense causes challenges, and the same thing, we got to make sure our defense is causing challenges for other people as well. On that side of the ball of getting us where we need to be and making sure that we're trying to help dictate the game on the defensive side of the ball as well.
What's the biggest takeaway, Coach, from the Boise State game, and maybe one positive and then one negative?
Yeah, the negative we lost, right? I mean, that's a pretty easy one right there. I think our guys are obviously, you're disappointed in how we lost the game. I think, when you go and you study the film, it's pretty easy, why we lost the game. And that's all of us that, and it really, it starts with me overseeing the whole thing of watching. And we watched it together as a team. And I'm like, hey, that was on me. That was a bad call. Hey, I should have done this in this situation. But really for the guys, for everybody to kind of point out where the errors were in the game. I think the positive is I think everybody in the building looking at it and taking the ownership of it. Because if you don't take the ownership, it's hard to improve, right? And I think that is the biggest one. And so that's why I think when I started the meeting, I started all with me. I said, here's some errors. Let's go through some of my errors in the game. And, some things that, could have done differently, within our preparation. Did I have us ready for this situation and that situation? Could have called better plays or managed the game a little bit differently. And I think when you started there and then you're pointing out, we missed this block here. Hey, we had a penalty that killed a drive here. We missed a throw in this situation. The run could have cut into a different hole, or we had a bad block. We didn't slant we went the wrong way on a blitz, right? I mean, the guy didn't match in man coverage and stay with his man running across the field, or we jumped out of gaps defensively. I think when you broke it down, the positive was that ownership of everybody in the room, instead of saying, everybody kind of stepping up and saying, yeah, I see where my role I have to improve if we want to be a better football team down the road. I think that was a huge positive off of everybody of really just getting to see it, own it. Now, hopefully we improve off it. You know what I mean? Like I told her, we can either say it wasn't my fault and point the blame somewhere else. Well, then it's probably not going to be a good 5-game stretch for us. We could do nothing. Be like, hey, just keep rolling on. Hey, keep rolling on how we've been rolling on. We're 6-1. I mean, it's not like the world's come to an end for us. And or we can really own it, look at it, and look and say, hey, are we making sure that we're getting better? And you can't get better without owning and really seeing the areas where we did make mistakes. And hopefully it's that one, because then you have a chance to continue to become a much better football team.
Defensively, when things aren't going well, is it ever a case of kids overthinking instead of instinctively playing and kind of getting worried about if the yards are coming and it's just not working out?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. I think, the yards, I don't think the guys pay a ton of attention with the yards more than results, because we've had some creating turnovers, some big plays defensively, more into the points and the scoring and when we need to stop in certain times of the game. But you hit it. I mean, there is a lot of that where and it's not really thinking. It's more instead of guys trying to make plays instead of doing their job, right? And, sometimes it's your job to make a play. Sometimes it's your job to just sit in a gap and eat up your gap. Even if you're blocked, eat up your gap, and it's going to bounce to somebody else, and they're going to make the play. And, and I think a lot, especially when you're in a first-year defense, for the guys, of where, with the amount of variety we've seen, right? From, for the whole year so far, right? From a run-and-shoot team to really you're not sure what you're getting for a couple of games, right? To triple option, to the power run with all the different formations. When I think the one issue for some of our guys, when you don't have that wealth of knowledge, like if you let's say it's not knowledge, not experience, that kind of the comfort of doing it so many times, right? I mean, Paul took over in the middle of spring, so. Really just got taught a couple of things to finish spring. So the teams really had a training camp to kind of learn, and they're going against our offense. And so, hey, our offense doesn't run the triple option. Our offense, we're not a lot of 13 personnel all over and then this is new, and then that's new, and then, hey, there's a 2-quarterback system in now. How do we fit? Just when those little variations start to hit, you have guys that are sitting there saying, okay, and I'm just supposed to be in this gap and not do anything else, and all of a sudden somebody else was in the wrong gap, right? I always laugh. I'm rambling on. To put it a good way, if we make a mistake, whether offensively or defensively at practice, run that play again at practice. Okay? One guy made a mistake. We run it again. A different guy makes a mistake than that. I'm like, you did it right. It wasn't you. He's like, I'm trying to make a play. The other guy made a mistake, so I'm trying to cover for him. No, he the next time he didn't make a mistake. He was right where he's supposed to be. We made the play. We don't need you to do that. And that, that kind of a learning. These are younger guys too, but that's part of us in teaching, of making sure that everybody trusts and understands where they're supposed to be and do what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. And you see that defensively, sometimes where guys are, trying to make plays when they don't need to. Just be where you're supposed to be and it'll all work out. And all of a sudden, once you jump out of the wrong spot, the play goes where you're supposed to be. Then the next play, the guy's like, well, he wasn't where he's supposed to be. I'm going to go cover. Well, now he was where he's supposed to be, and it went somewhere else. So that's kind of in the end, that's coaching and teaching, which is completely on me and in the team to make sure, I don't get upset at guys for trying to make plays. We got to make sure we coach and teach the right way so they understand everything where they need to be.
Coach, going into the season, a lot of talk on the defensive side of the ball was about how this system requires a lot of communication.
Yep.
Where have you seen those lapses in communication at points this year, and how do you kind of simulate that outside of a game situation like this 2 weeks leading up to this game?
Well, like we said, it is the experience of all of that, of making sure we're communicating. And some of the lapses have come with some communication, and I think, again, it just gets into that – you guys probably heard me say the 2 + 2, right? 2 + 2 is 4. Didn't take much thought, I don't think, for anybody in the room, right? But the square root of 5,642, that might take a little bit of thought, right? So we have to make sure defensively we're simple enough, but the communication aspect of when a play is called, we're not like, okay, there's 11 guys that know, and hey, they're in this front. This is one where the communication said, bang, we're ready to go. Everybody knows exactly where they need to be. That comes in a lot of places, and I talked to a lot of guys. I talked to all our guys, right? Was it the 10,000-hour rule, right? If you want to be an expert or something, you got to do it over 10,000 times. Well, we're at time maybe 1,000, and we're a long way from being experts. So we got to teach it, rep it, communicate it, walk it through over and over and over, and then you got to understand when a variation comes in a game. Okay, I'll guarantee you this. New Mexico is going to come out with blitzes they haven't shown before, right? Defensive movements they haven't shown before, a coverage they haven't shown before. Okay, a formation they haven't shown before, a motion they haven't shown before, a pass play and a run play they haven't shown before. So there's going to be variations. It's not let's just walk through what they've done over and over. It's our ability to really understand what's going on, where the 2 + 2 is 4. I'm here. Okay, well, now they made here how I'm adapting to the different variations that we haven't seen in a walkthrough. but to make sure we're confident and still doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're following our rules and executing that way. I think that's a huge part. And hopefully, we mixed up some things, tried to do a lot of different looks during the week, in the bye week, so that it builds more confidence for the variations that we're going to see down the stretch.
Got a question about Anthony Calandria. So I think it's been said maybe one of your first calls when you took this job. And I think he's been exceptional so far this year. I'd love to hear from you kind of just through half of the season, a little over half of the season, for expectations that you had and where he's at in his development, being with you. You're well known as a quarterback guy, and that's been well documented. Just love to hear your opinions on where Anthony's at.
I think he's doing a really good job, and I think I'm really pleased with how he started the year too, because we got to learn each other, and he's got to learn my expectations and what I want him to do and how I want him to handle situations. But I have to also learn him. Am I doing what he does well? Am I asking him to do stuff that he's not great at? And how do we avoid putting him in situations? How do we keep him in the situations where he's going to be best? But the great thing, I think, for him that I think he's done such a good job is the maturing and really trying to understand the why. Hey, check it out in that situation right there. Don't try to make the big. Well, he's like, but really understanding why it's important to just manage through the course of the game. I think everyone sees it. We feel pretty confident. Game on the line. We're going to put the balls in his hands. He wants the ball in a 2-minute situation to try to go win the game. He loves that. But there's a lot of other times in the game where the decisions he make is going to determine what happens throughout the course of the year. I think he's protected the ball very well for us. I think he's made very good decisions in that, not just in his, hey, I'm reading a flat defender over here, but his decisions in what I'm doing in the course of a game to be successful. I think he's done a really, really good job of that, especially in year one, and I always joke and laugh. I'm in meetings and I'm like, hey, we could do this here. I'm like, that's more a year 2 or 3 deal for you down the road. But he gets like, all right, give it to me now. I'm like, we joke, but it's how much can we throw on his shoulders to handle, but still expect him to perform at the highest levels, because this is his first time running. This is like we talk about the variations. We're going to practice a bunch. He's run these plays against different looks, but all of a sudden, here's something completely new. Does he really understand where in all the rules where he has to get to and what he needs to do?
Coach, I was wondering, you mentioned way back in the spring and then also in August, just development of players. And then I was kind of curious, is the defense kind of behind where you even thought they'd be at this point? Just in terms of developing and creating.
I think a lot of it is, we haven't seen these guys and played with a lot of guys, and you're getting into, I remember like week 1 came off the field and there were like 5 or 6 guys. Like, that's my first game in 3 years. I haven't really played much in the last 3 years. And so, I think it's as much us finding what our strengths and weaknesses are, right? Like if you go to practice, you can say, oh, this is a strength of our team, when in reality, it's the other part of it is a weakness. Does that make, right? Like if we can score on every 2-minute drill, boy, 2-minute offense is our strength. Or is 2-minute defense a weakness? Because we just go against each other over and over and over. And, you're going through spring ball walkthroughs, fall camp, all of that. Until you play a game, sometimes you don't know. And then the early part of the season, at game 1 is everyone's first game. I think we have a pretty decent game 2. On the road, trying to figure that out. A big game, then it's like broken up with all these different weeks, where I think now there's a little better understanding of where we are, if that makes sense. Of us as a staff. I thought we'd be a little bit better here. We're not. So how do we fix that, right? What adjustments are we making schematically or personnel-wise, or making people, like if a guy's not a good blitzer, don't blitz him. But maybe, he was a good blitzer, but we didn't pick up the blitz very well. We thought he was a good blitzer. In games, he never gets home, but in practice, he does. That's a problem. And So it's us now with this last bye week, with having 7 games under our belt, having a better understanding where everybody is.
And then just New Mexico. You're getting a lot of superlatives on how you've been around way back in the Utah days, New Mexico. Maybe with
Heck, they beat the heck out of
Rocky
us in
Long,
Salt
maybe.
Lake City.
well, I was going to say, they were good back in the day, it seemed like, with Rocky Long and all that. But then there was just a big dry spell. What's the resurgence from New Mexico? Kind of like you guys, you get all these transfer
I
guys?
think it's just a different world of college football, right? And I think the one thing, I mean, probably over the I always believe this now, like in probably the last 3 or 4 years, right? I mean, since I left, I mean, that it is immediately your team, right, as a coach. And Coach X has done a great job, won everywhere. That's not like, hey, I inherited this. Like, I inherited good, bad, I got to change things. I mean, in today's world, day one, that's your team. Look, I mean, our whole new roster, right? I mean, we have very, very, very few players left here for us, but it's my team day one, his team day one. So I think that part of it's different. For us, the one thing I'm going to learn, I don't know, like stability, like what's our stability? Hopefully we have some stability in starting back up in January. I don't know. We might have to go get another new team again. That's still the part that's learning. What I do think is coaches coming in, and that was my understanding coming in, I'm sure it was his going there. You're not taking over what's happened in the past. This is your team day one. What you do is what you do moving forward. And he's done an excellent job of that. Like, I mean, if you say he brought in some really good players, some good competitors, they play really hard. And that team has become his team day one. And I think that's today's college football. Like it is. Like, I mean, anybody that's been hired in the last couple of years is hard to say, oh, the cabinet was empty, the cabinet was full. It's your team day one. I mean, and you just go with it, and it's what you do. And he's done an excellent job with that team in the first year of building that roster. And what they've been in the past is really irrelevant.
You mentioned earlier a willingness to take a look at personnel adjustments. Well, on the 2 deep this week, 3 deep at a lot of these positions, Bryce Edmondson bumped up to the 1 line at linebacker. What goes into a decision like that?
Well, unfortunately for him, he's played really well. He's been hurt. He got hurt early in fall in camp in spring ball and didn't come back until week 4 of the season. I give him the benefit. There was discussion of should he redshirt, and sat down with him and the family and like, hey, we think you're going to help us. And he's like, all right, let's roll. And he really has. I wish he would have been able to stay healthy, and we had him the whole year. He's really, of coming back, of a guy that missed most of spring. We brought him into play, and he missed most of spring, and and then couldn't even get reps until week 3 of the season.
So there was some strong reaction about the defensive performance at Boise, and some people went after Paul Gunther, including some in the room. But there were a lot of the fans were really angry and are asking for changes. Is that a good thing that UNLV football fans have these expectations, or a sign that maybe expectations around college football are crazy right now?
Well, I mean, you see that on a national stage. That's why. It's part of the deal. I love that it's important to people. Right? I mean, I think that's really good for our program. I think the expectations of winning are really good for our program. I can tell you, nobody wants to win more than the people in this building, right? Nobody are more invested than the people that are here in this building with their time, with everything they do, the sacrifices they make to go win. I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody's pleased with the performance, right? And it's in that game. But again, there's a lot of different things you can go point your finger at that happened in the course of that game that I evaluate. I'm not going to get into it or give advantages to anybody and tell you this is exactly what every little detail that went wrong. But we get to see those. We get to address those. We get to talk about those. We get to figure out the solution to fix that. You can go the week before, right, and the same thing. But, I mean, you're talking about 2 offenses, too, that are pretty good offenses that we've faced, right? I mean, they both average a lot of points per game. I think the great thing in the program is if for us is I've yet to see anybody say, hey, that's this specific. If you go ask offensive guys what happened the last game, they're pretty pissed they didn't score more points. That's the reaction I want. Not, hey, they didn't, we scored 31. Shouldn't we win the game? Yeah, you would hope, right? But more, you'd hope you would, right? It's just like, hey, but it's not. Hey, the offensive guys are saying we didn't score enough. The defensive guys are saying we gave up way too many. That's the reaction you want, not vice versa. Like, hey, why didn't you stop them more? And hey, why didn't you score more? That's when issues can come about. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see a practice with this week. Hopefully we get some things fixed. But, again, you're playing another very good offensive football team. So we're going to have to make some adjustments. We're going to have to, if we want to win a game, we're going to have to score a whole bunch of points and play well and in all phases. We can't give up non-defensive touchdowns too, which we've given up several times this year, right? And that, in key moments of games, right? But defensive scored for us in key moments of the game. So for us, it's defense hold them to one less than we score, and offense score one more than we give up. And if we can, special teams play really hard. And if we can do that, we have a chance.
Hi, Andrew. How much do you think the defense as a unit was able to improve during the bye week and then carry over into this week? And if you could be specific as to an area or two that was a point of emphasis?
Yeah, I think we improved a lot. You know, coming from the Boise game, I mean, we made a lot of mistakes. I feel like we shot ourselves in the foot. And, yeah, mainly we just watch film, like get in the film room and see what we did wrong. That was our main point. And then we go out on the field and practice the things. You know, scouts showed us some of the same plays we messed up on, and, you know, everybody getting their run fits, you know, DBs getting their run fits, because I think that's where we struggled, you know, while they had a lot of yards rushing against us, you know. And, yeah, I feel like we improved a lot, and we're going to be ready to go this week.
I just want to follow up.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a better understanding now of what is asked of all the guys on the defense, not just yourself, in terms of assignments and not trying to do too much and just, like Coach was saying, just do your job?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone just needs to do their job, do your 1/11th. Every snap of the game, just focus on that play and doing your job. And, yeah, I think it's going to make a big difference. We're going to have some more stuff coming, too, as well. So it's not just us doing our job. We're going to mix a couple things up. I know Coach Gunn has. So, yeah.
For both players, just how different this season has been with the 3 bye weeks and how, you know, the month of November you guys want to come out firing these next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely a big difference having 3 bye weeks. I think compared to last 2 seasons I've been here, I think it's been very beneficial for, you know, us having, you know, a spot within the season where we can have a little more rest and get off our feet a little bit.
I mean, actually, last year at my other school, I had 3 bye weeks because we played week 0. So I guess, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of used to it. But, you know, things are run a little different here. We do get a little more rest on a bye week than what I'm used to, which I think is very helpful for us mentally and physically. And, you know, Mullen knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a long time. So just giving us that time off to get our mind and body back right so we could come into this week ready to go.
D'Angelo, just talk about how the offense has been rolling. And Coach Mullen said that you guys were kind of pissed off that you couldn't score more points against Boise.
Yeah, obviously, anytime we lose, you know, we kind of have a bad taste in our mouth about it. Obviously, the goal of the game is to score more points than the opponent, no matter how either side of the ball does. We're just trying to score more, and just the simple fact that we lost, it obviously irritates us, makes us want to make more plays, score more touchdowns.
And for you, Andrew, just the secondary, just talk about your guys' hunger coming out in November.
I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, we always stay hungry. You know, this is the home stretch this last 5 weeks. You know, we got a lot of seniors, a lot of guys. This is going to be their last time playing college football. And so it just makes, you know, even me being a junior, some of the younger guys want to do good for them, you know, send them out on a good note. And I know they want to do good because, you know, this is it right here. So, yeah, we're ready to go and we're fired up for sure.
Question for both of you guys. Despite losing to Boise, you guys have had a record-breaking year in a number of ways already. What are you most proud of when you look at this group, especially being that most of the guys on the roster are transfers?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I'm most proud of. Just the fact that as a group that we were all new to each other. We were able to kind of mend with each other, come together as a team, and still, obviously, you know, we still have a lot of work to do. So we're not finished yet.
Yeah, and I say the same thing. You know, coming in with so much transfers, there's so many different personalities, different backgrounds, coming from different schools. But I mean, we're getting real close. Like, you know, or from when we got here in January till now, like we've gotten a lot closer. And outside of football, just, you know, we're becoming brothers, building a real brotherhood and relationship with each other. And you know, I think that helps us on the field to go out there and play hard.
For D'Angelo, you know, the weird schedule, think of it from a general season-wide, outside looking in perspective. Well, what ways have you guys on the offensive side of the ball been able to kind of try to maintain some rhythm with all the bye weeks and just the fragmented nature of the schedule overall?
I think for us, our biggest thing is just staying connected as a group. I feel like, you know, during bye weeks, coming in as an offensive group with the quarterbacks or running backs and quarterbacks, you know, just any way we can to just stay connected with each other, stay on the same, you know, walking towards the same direction, you know what I'm saying?
And then Andrew, the last couple of games, a lot of the discourse outside of the program has been kind of doom and gloom on the defensive side of the ball. But from your perspective and in your opinion, what have been some of the ways that the defense has progressed throughout the season?
I think we communicate a lot better on the field. You know, I know there is a lot of talk about, you know, the defense not doing so good. I mean, we played, especially these past 2 games, but, you know, we played 2 very good teams. You know, Air Force with their offense, you know, it's a tough offense. You know, it's hard to, you know, gauge what they're going to do. And, you know, obviously Boise speaks for themselves. But I think we just go out there, we communicate, play, you know, with energy. I think, you know, when we bring energy, I think that's when we play our best, and when we're, you know, fired up, making plays on the ball, and, you know, hitting people. And yeah, I just feel like we're getting better every day.
And for you personally, where do you feel like you've taken the biggest steps forward this season?
I'd say just as far as just keep going no matter what. I'd say having a next play mentality. You know, not every play, especially playing DB. You know, you're not gonna make every play. Sometimes the ball's gonna get caught on you. But, like, you know, immediately not caring about that play and be ready for the next play, I feel like that has been a lot better for me personally.
2 questions for you guys. First is a short-term question. Obviously, you got New Mexico coming up this week. They're coming off a big win against Utah State. And I'd like to hear from both of you of any maybe specific challenges that they may bring, anything you've guys done a little extra over this extra week as you get ready for the Lobos here this weekend.
Yeah, obviously every week we're playing another Division I team, and I think our focus has been to do what we do the best that we can, execute to the best of our ability. I think that's been the main focus during the bye week for us.
Yeah, and you know, I'm actually pretty familiar with New Mexico. I played them last year, and, you know, a lot of their guys, transfers are coming from the FCS level. I played against them. Some are my teammates. And so I know I pretty much know what to expect, you know, from the level of play. They got some good players over there. And, you know, we're treating it like we treat any other game. You know, like we prepare for Boise, we're going to prepare for New Mexico. Like, you know, it's the Mountain West Championship.
Well, that leads me right into my second question. That's the long-term question, right? You're still just a one-loss team. You really have all your goals in front of you to get back to a Mountain West Championship game. Again, don't want to overlook the next 3-4 games, but would just love to hear from you if you feel like your season goals are still well ahead of you and you're kind of have your eyes on that championship game, and that's what you're working for.
Obviously, going into the season, anything less than that was, you know, it didn't compare to what we've been in the past. So we've obviously been trying to overachieve and get past that. But as for right now, I think all of us are just focused on the next game, focused on winning the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, our goals are definitely still, you know, ahead of us. You know, Mullen says our goal isn't to go undefeated. You know, that's pretty unrealistic, you know, just as far as competition with college football. But our goal is to be a better team at the end of the year than we were at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, we're definitely reaching those goals and, you know, working every day to get better. And definitely Mountain West Championship is in our sights. I appreciate it. Thank you.